Hello, hello, my dear friends, you've reached Elena's bar. The best place on the internet, the very best by far. She'll help improve your fitness, but there's also so much more. 'Cause here are just a few things that this channel has in store. There's barre and there's Pilates and there's belly dancing too. And many styles of yoga, so I'm sure there's one for you. Then watch her practice pianist string from right within her home. She's in such big condition, she'll outrun the metronome. Elena's Barre, Elena's Barre. They're the best place on the internet, the very best by far. It's not just the piano, but the ukulele too. The guitar and violin are even more that she can do. She does so many different things, it's hard not to lose track. I nearly didn't mention that she posts on her Substack. Elena's Barre, Elena's Barre. The best place on the internet, the very best by far. Yet controversial topics may be brought up for discussion, but try not to provoke her or she'll swear at you in Russian. And sometimes certain topics can make quite a big impression. So remember, you take part at your own risk and your discretion. Yeah, Elena's Barre, Elena's Barre. The best place on the internet, the very best by far. You might even meet Elena if you're quite a loyal fan. She's got a fixed male cat, but she's so desperate for a man. We've really got it all, then you couldn't ask for more. So sit right back and watch Elena shave a 3 or 4. Elena's Barre, Elena's Barre. The best place on the internet, the very best by far.
Hello, hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to Elena's Barre and the resurgence of sanity. We have full house today. Today we have an interesting topic, guys, and a special guest, actually. But first, let me welcome everyone who is in the chat. White Claws, great to see you today. How are you doing? Yeah, guys, let me introduce you. Donna from Donna's Doing It. Great to see you, Donna. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So, yeah, guys, we are going to talk about marriages, why they fall apart, why relationships break up. And I know we've discussed this topic many times before. And today we have Donna. She's going to share with us her experience with the red pill. And yeah, Donna, I know that you've shared your story and I was watching a couple of your live streams before, but could you please summarize for the guys who don't know you, what you're doing here, and yeah, what has been your experience with the red pill so far?
Sure. I want to be very clear when we start that I'm 63 years old, so I'm not a young spring chicken anymore. I wasn't always red pilled. I mean, if you talked to me 30 years ago, you'd see exactly what you're seeing now in the dating population. So what brought me here is it was a gradual process. It was accountability on my part to realize why the relationship that I was in with my son's father broke apart. It wasn't his fault, it was my fault. And once I took ownership of that and started to sort of develop this awareness, if you want to call it that, I started looking out into the world to see what was out there. And my son was going through a second time a very horrible breakup. And he had discovered George Bruno at Listen, My Son. And George had talked to the ledge. And so I started watching George. And long after my son had moved on, so to speak, with his life and wasn't watching as frequently, I continued to watch. And as I continued to watch, I realized that there was this message that men are screaming from the mountaintop and these women are not listening. And it kind of pissed me off. That's really where all this came from.
That women are not listening?
You know, It's not a complicated situation. Women make it complicated. And when I realized that, you know, they're all, every guy that's out there that's delivering this message is being called misogynistic. He's controlling, he's this, he's that. And it was like, okay, well, how about this? How about if a woman tells you? Does that resonate? Because I've done what you're doing. I've done it. And so I sort of felt like, you know what? I'm going to dispel all the secrets. I'm going to tell everybody what you're doing because I've done it. And you're not going to be able to continue this. It's kind of like a fantasy that women have, that somehow they're bringing all of this stuff to the table. When I say this all the time, honey, you're not even a place setting. Stop. So that's kind of how
she's not a place setting, because she is the table.
Well, in your mind, yes.
Well, that's kind of how it evolved. I mean, I watched my boy go through this, and he's not a boy. He's 25 years old. He's a rescue swimmer in the United States Navy. He's a badass. And I watched these women just, you know, take him down this path and live with him and live rent free and roof over their heads. And, you know, he's paying for everything. And she's telling him what he's going to do. You know, you're going to re-enlist, and we're going to go to Florida, and we're going to start a family. And then we're going to live on a compound with my family. And now, mind you, this young man has done 3 tours overseas. Okay. He flies in a helicopter and he looks for the enemy, and they tell the Navy SEALs, the enemy is here, come in. That's his job. That's what he does. It's extremely dangerous. And
is he a SEAL?
He's 1 level below a SEAL.
Okay.
And he would literally be in the helicopter getting these blown up text messages about how his dad is a narcissist and his mom is toxic. And I don't know if I can do this anymore. And I literally I kind of flipped a switch, I guess. I don't know. That's my story.
Wow. So she falsely, and this is the script that I notice a lot of women are doing today. They just blame men, and of course, psychotherapists, psychologists don't help it either, especially when we talk about female psychologists. And look, we did bring up a couple of examples in our previous live streams. They're just telling him, like, straight up, call him a narcissist. If he does some things that don't resonate with you, that you don't like, he's just so selfish, he doesn't care about you, he doesn't love you, just call him a narcissist and then break up with him. This is the narrative that I see women are pushing. And we are going to watch some videos from the lawyers, like I mentioned last week, guys. I'm going to share with you the message that women get from lawyers that represent our legal system.
Don't get me started on lawyers.
So tell me now you...
I'm sorry, but the whole judicial system needs to be flushed and rewritten. It is absolutely atrocious, things that happen to men in court. And the reason I say this, this is not my personal experience. This is my observation. This is what men are saying online. This is what men are posting on social media. They're telling their stories, and these stories are heart-wrenching. You know, the one that's been going around that came out yesterday or day before was the guy with the mullet, who I think has the property in Kentucky or somewhere in the Midwest, who built this gorgeous freaking mansion for this woman, master bathroom the size of a freaking house, walk-in closets that'll put, you know, Coach to shame. Yeah. And she wasn't happy, okay? So she divorced his ass, and he's literally walking around the property with his camera going, look at this, look at how beautiful this is. And she didn't like any of it. He goes, so I guess I'm just going to sell the property. And literally my throat got tight because it just is so painful to watch a man in his full-blown masculinity providing you with everything that you need, but it's not good enough. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Steve and I have had similar stories, maybe not with that graphic. I reposted that on Twitter.
Yeah.
Steve and I have been on Pearl Show. We've told our story there. we've got it some pretty gnarly stories, but yeah, that's the reality men live through. I hear the script. He's a narcissist, a misogynist. I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
Right now, just eye roll one ear out, one in one ear out the other. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, and here's the
Nick
thing.
and,
If it wasn't true, why would men be saying it so often?
Nick and I have something in common. We might be the only two men you've ever met that have both been arrested in churches.
Oh my God, I have to hear that story. Hold on, let me take notes because that's going to be on my live stream. You think I'm kidding?
No,
Donna, watch here.
I love it. See?
Yeah.
Do tell. I'm
what?
listening.
Well, obviously, it was related to a woman.
Yeah.
My first ex-wife. Yeah, okay, I had okay, the restraining order had passed, but I had the judge said I cannot be alone with my children because she'd made allegations of the nastiest type. So anyway, okay, I was in supervised visitation. So I decided I'm going to go see their Christmas program in a Catholic church. Okay, it's public. They're up front. I'm sitting here. I'm watching. No. No, she called the cops. They come in. They arrested me, put me in handcuffs within the Catholic cathedral in the city of Crookston, Minnesota. And I was put in jail overnight. And then, I had to go to court over it. I was released the next day. My brother-in-law helped me out. My former brother-in-law. Anyway, I went back to court. A female judge said I was in contempt of court because I attempted to watch my children, my daughter's Christmas program. It's like a super secret probation. It's there was nothing interactive with me, with them in a private environment. I couldn't even attend that. And because my ex cried about it, and then the female judge, of course, is going to side with the woman. So, yeah, I had to pay a fine, and not much else happened. But, in the process, I got a resisting arrest. Because as they were putting the handcuffs on me, I shuffled my feet and said, "Can we talk to a priest here?" No. That's resisting arrest.
And it all was based upon a lie.
Of
Yep.
course.
And for me, I was a minister in the Orthodox Presbyterian Church. I had 6 kids, one on the way. Came home, she was acting strange. Took her phone, she flipped the F out like she normally did. Started beating me, trying to tackle me, chase me around the house. She beat me for a long time. So what did I do? I ran away from the house, ran into the church, locked all the doors. Then apparently she told the police that I false DV. She said, "Oh, I did this and this." Meanwhile, she admitted to a history of abuse in the police report. They didn't question that, but they had this super long, detailed police report where she contradicts herself. Anyways, yeah, they somehow get in a locked door, unlocked a locked door somehow. So they invaded the church, had lasers on my chest. I thought they had a woman police officer shrieking at me. I thought she was going to just shoot me dead or unalive me. Yeah, threw me in jail. It took me eight months to see my kids in person. She fled the state, went like 1,000 miles away to a different state. Then I purposely broke the because what she asked me to do, I wasn't in my right mind, but when
Why would you be?
I didn't want to get out of jail when I wanted them to come in there and apologize to me, but no, I was convinced to sign something that I didn't even know what I was signing. But anyways, and I said, I sent an email to my ministers and elders, and I said, I'm not going to obey this tyrannical decree. It's violates my ordination vows where I can't even serve the Lord's Supper or take communion. And I purposely sent it to an email, included the ex-wife on it in protest, and I got 2 weeks in jail for that too. So that was fun. Reached 30
Yeah,
people. in the
Nick.
email. I
Nick
told
was
that judge to
restricted
repent
from
or
alcohol.
I told the judge to repent or burn in hell, and I still stand by that at Jezebel. Yep. You know what you did, lady.
Wow.
So Nick couldn't have alcohol for some reason because of this. And as a minister in the Orthodox Presbyterian Church, communion involves wine and bread.
Yep.
Absolutely.
took a
Okay,
vow.
so you know
I took
what?
a vow to do what
When
I
he
do
follows
despite
his
persecution.
religion,
Yep. Yep.
oh, there's not supposed to be any ban on a person practicing their religion. Oh, yes, there is.
Mhm.
If a
Yep.
woman says so.
I guess it's only if
Oh.
it's convenient, right? There's no ban on it unless it's convenient for the wife.
Mhm. Meanwhile, you can take my kids 1,000 miles away, and I didn't get to see them. I had to spend thousands and thousands of dollars, custody evaluation where they, proved everything she said's a bunch of crap, but I'm a misogynist, whatever, just following what the Bible teaches. I'm a bad man, apparently.
You know, the plethora of false accusations is what furthers this perception that there's something wrong with men. Honest to God, if you put every woman under a lie detector, not a single one of them would pass. None of them. Because they're all responsible for some sort of manipulation in the relationship that they're in or the one that they were in. And you guys know it. You were married, I mean, I'm sure when you both first married, you didn't expect that coming.
I would just push back on that just a little bit, and there's a reason why. Lie detectors are based on your physical reactions to the lie, right? And the deception detection is this whole cool science, but most women honestly believe the things they say.
True.
And so when you're giving the lie detector test, they will pass with flying colors because they honestly believe what they say. I mean, you've met my lovely wife up there, okay? I have on occasion caught her, and and it's not intentional. It's just in that moment she honestly believes, because women operate on feelings first.
And
Okay.
remember, they can gaslight themselves into believing. They tend to alter the story the more time passes by. And this has been my experience from talking to other women. When I know the fact that it didn't happen, and then many years pass by, they start adding things up in their brain, and they start believing that new story that they wrote for themselves.
But
Yeah, let me explain this.
You're correct.
Oh,
Here's why. I'm sorry, Steve, real quick, and then
Go ahead.
I'm quiet. Men operate with logic, women operate in emotion. And until women begin to see things logically, you are absolutely 100% correct.
So I like to cite, okay, I'm an old red pill guy. I was around, in the 2010, 2012, when it was blogs. So anyway, the blogs, they talked about the 11th commandment. Thou shalt not hurt the feelings of a woman. Women operate under this all the time within the sisterhood. So she develops a narrative in her mind that explains everything, and all the other women, even though they think it's bullshit, won't challenge her. But then they'll go and talk behind her back. So a woman develops this narrative, spins the truth in order to relieve her of the guilt for her actions. And then she tells that story to the world. She actually believes the story. She believes the narrative that she's developed. So is she lying when she tells that?
Not in
No.
her brain. Not in her brain.
Well, she's not. No, she's not lying. Now, let me make a distinction here. She's not telling the truth, but she's not lying. So none of the tells when someone's lying are going to show up. So when she comes in to tell her narrative to the court or police or whatever, they're not going to detect her deception.
Oh,
Is that kind of what you're saying, Plutarch?
I agree what he's saying.
Yes.
It feels like we're walking this very fine tightrope, right? And we're and not, I don't mean women, I mean men in relationships are walking this very fine tightrope where if they're not careful, this will be her reality. She'll sell herself on that false reality. Does that make sense? Am I making sense here?
Yeah. Yeah, you are.
Ender says very few women are reality based and can count on one hand how many I know have known like this. Yeah.
Well, my experience with that is okay. So, everyone's like, oh, Elena, she's so reality based and she is for the most part. But guys, when you live with a woman 24/7, you get to see that even then, when it is to their benefit, okay. And I think, Elena mentioned gaslighting earlier. I think that women understand that there is a reality at some level because they interact with it every day, right? But most women will happily deny that reality if it's to their benefit. Okay. And when you catch a woman doing it, in this case, I'm married to one, and she knows that I'll do it. She goes, "Yeah, you're right," and then tries a different tactic. To be fair, this doesn't happen all that often anymore. We've worked on this a lot, but when women think that they might be able to get a benefit, whatever the benefit it is that they're seeking, then because when you operate from feelings first, you feel like that benefit is the most important thing in your world and is the most true thing in your world. And so therefore, why should you not try to acquire that benefit? So, you were mentioning this fellow in Kentucky who built this house and now he has to sell it because the woman wanted to get divorced. Well, what was the benefit to her of putting this guy through that? That's a question that whenever you're looking at a divorce, in my opinion, you need to be asking, what is the benefit that the woman thinks she's getting from this?
I often wonder in those situations, does she think that the grass is greener on the other side, that she's got some young stud, some Chad that she's been, either banging or she's been thinking about banging, or what is the motivation behind that? I have a hard time understanding it personally.
Well, men are 6 months out. Women generally plan this stuff 6 months before the man even has a clue what's going on. And probably during that time, she's already detached herself from the relationship. There might be another man already in the picture.
You're right.
And so she's done either way.
Even my son, when he was overseas the last time, he was telling me that she would say these certain things, these little signals that she would give him. And I said, son, she's on her way out. She is leaving you. Oh no, Mom, we're going to work it out. We're going to work it out. And in my heart, I want the best for him, obviously. Right. If that's what he chooses to do, if that's the path he chooses to go down, then more power to him. But I'm listening to what's being said and I'm going, I've done that. I've said that thing. I've said those words. I know exactly what she's doing. And sure enough, when he came back from Bahrain the last time, all her shit was moved out. And she even took shit that didn't belong to her.
Donna, tell us that story that you shared. Oh gosh, I forgot because you had 2 live streams. I think it was James from the UK.
James came on yesterday morning,
Yes,
and I forget. God, I've told so many.
I know that one was interesting because you kicked her out, right?
Oh, that was that was a great story. Come on now. That was a great story. So here's what happened. When my son was 18, now he's 25. When my son was 18, he met his first love. Okay. And she was a beautiful girl. And everybody knows the scale. As the beauty goes up, so does the crazy. Okay.
Yeah, right.
You want to stay out of this zone up here. But my son wasn't, I don't know, seasoned enough to understand that. So he just fell straight in love with the looks. And she would come over, and he was still living at home at the time. He was trying to get into the Navy. Didn't get accepted at first because he had some medical conditions that he had to take care of, which he did. But at that time, he was still figuring out what he was going to do. And so they would come over and they would go back in his room and they would fight. Now, I'm his mother, okay? And I am sitting in my home that I'm paying for. I am paying the rent. I'm paying the bills. And she would be cussing him out. F you, you're an SOB, you're this, you're that. And I didn't understand what she was saying at first until I walked down the hallway, and then I heard her say it about 3 or 4 times in a row. F you, F you, F you, you're a piece of shit. And I pushed the door open. I said, get your shit and get out of my house. I'm not going anywhere. I said, really? Watch this. And I grabbed her stuff and I opened my front door and I threw it out in the driveway and I held the door up and I said, get out. You know, maybe I shouldn't have, but in my mind at that time, he was still 18 and he was trying to make it okay. He was trying to work it out. Mom, it's okay. Mom, I'm like, no, it's not okay. It's not okay that a woman disrespects you to that level where she thinks that she can call you a piece of shit in my house. It's not going to happen. You got your own apartment. You want a girl over there calling you a piece of shit? Go for it.
Yeah.
But not in my house. And, you know, that one didn't end very well.
No, well, I mean, not for sure.
Surprise.
Sure. It's like I wonder how many mothers are willing to do what you did for your son, to stand by their children, to not just daughters. I'm not talking about daughters because we all get that daughters get this princess treatment, right, by default from our society. But I'm talking about sons. Like, how many mothers are willing to say, no, this woman is not good, right? Stay away from her. She's going to use you she's going to take you to the cleaners. And like, say it in front of them, right? So that these girls know.
Well, and the funny thing is, I wonder if that's part of the catalyst of my evolution, because when I realized he was mad at me, he was very upset with me that I threw her out. I said, I don't give a shit. I said, as long as I'm paying the bills here, a female in my house is not going to treat you like that. This guy, I mean, he's 6'2". He's 195 pounds. He's all muscle. All he does is train every single day to jump out of these flipping helicopters to rescue people. That's his job. He's not an idiot. He tested right below nuclear sub, okay, for the ASVAB. He literally, when I look at him, he has his own home. He has 3 cars. He has thousands of dollars in the savings that he has he did all this himself. This man is a package. He's a catch. To sit there and take that crap from a female? No.
So he's got his shit together. What, he marries or encounters a woman of average intelligence, and she thinks he doesn't know shit, and she needs to tell him what to do. Yeah, this is typical.
You know, God, so well said, Steve. If you don't, that was the first relationship. Second relationship, she made the mistake of calling me on the phone one time and started complaining about him and telling me Well, he's complaining because I don't bring enough money in and I'm not helping with the bills and blah, blah, blah. And she went on. I let her talk for about 15 minutes. And then finally I said, are you done? I said, because I have something to share with you. I said, you're probably not going to like this. I said, but if you don't financially take care of the household, then you need to pony up in other ways. Well, how do you do that? You keep his house clean. You do his laundry. You have food on the table when he comes home. I said, and when he wants to have intercourse, you do it out of love and respect for him. If you don't respect him, then you're going to hold on to, well, I don't feel like doing that.
Yeah.
I walked into his house. I went to visit him. Oh gosh, this was 2 years ago. And I walked into his house and the laundry was up to the door frame. You see this door hinge back here behind me?
Wow.
That's how high the laundry pile was. And I'm
Sounds
looking
familiar.
at her, I'm going, what are you doing? Well, I work. I said, no, you work in a bar 2 hours a night. That's not a job.
Well, and
Oh,
this
she works
is
at
what
a bar. That's a
The
problem
laundry
too.
is part of your job.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, she works.
go ahead, Nick. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, she works at a bar. She works at a bar. That's part of the problem. She's entitled. She gets all the male attention there,
Oh,
and
guess what? He works in the bar, Nick, but he's not allowed to drink.
Oh, I see. Open on your
Oh,
end, closed
shit.
on his end, guys. Wow. Well, this is what happens when we let women in the workforce. Okay. Like they work for a couple of hours, flexible schedule, of course, and then it's like, yeah, but I'm making my own money, but the man still
You're
pays
making-
for the bulk of the bills.
You're making your own money for your makeup and hair products. You're not making money to survive. You
Yep.
can't survive on that. That whole, I don't know who sold that whole bill of goods that, oh, I'm earning a living. No, you're not. Throw her ass out on the street and give her clothes and see what she does. It's like,
Oh, I know what the
Stop
outcome
selling your
is.
clothes.
Hey, I was married to a woman for a long time. She didn't have to work. We had a bunch of kids. But over and over, I kept paying to send my kids to like, what's it called? Like a daycare and stuff. I'm trying to be, hey, you got a lot on your plate. You got a bunch of kids. Bent over backwards. I got zero respect for it. Crap meals. You wouldn't even make me lunch most of the time. You know, heat 'em up chicken nuggets and crap for dinner. Laundry was piled high everywhere. Just the house was not kept, disorganized, chaos. But she had it hard. And how much respect did I get?
Zero.
Zero.
and
Okay.
I love this part when they come home. I'm tired of changing diapers. Can you change the diaper on the baby? Get the what?
Yeah, okay.
I did that
This was
too.
early 2000s. Okay, my degree's in mechanical engineering. Yeah, I'm kind of a smart guy. I was working at consulting company in Minneapolis, making, I don't know, 110 grand a year, 120, living in an upscale neighborhood. My wife didn't have to work. So I'd come home and then, she'd been working all day. She did keep a clean house, but then it's your turn to watch the kids. Okay. Now, did she have time? Okay, it was a professional environment. Did she iron my shirts? Oh, hell no. She did the laundry, but no, I had to iron the shirts. And of course, I had to maintain the house and do all that. But no, when I get home, yeah, she cooked. Decent cook. But then it's her time when I get home. This whole attitude of, well, I'm going to use the Latin term, non serviam, which is what Lucifer said to God when the angels rebelled. I will not serve. Non serviam. Come on. Really? Okay, yeah, you have 2 young kids. But yeah, when daddy gets home, daddy has to change all the diapers. And I didn't understand this at the time. I accommodated that shit
Yeah.
and provided a good life for her. Where, okay, did any of that goodwill result in some mercy, cooperation in the divorce? Oh, hell no. Hell no.
It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because society, the judicial system is all tailored to cater to the woman. You know, I was watching Aaron Clary before I jumped on here with you guys, and somebody called him the Kamala Harris of his live stream because he was just letting anybody on. And I started laughing and I was like, but that's the problem. You see, that whole mentality that women are somehow elevated to this position of authority. Why? I'm going to go back a little bit here to the original gender roles. The woman came to the marriage chaste. She was a virgin. She came to the man, to the relationship as a clean slate. Good luck finding that nowadays.
Mhm.
The man came in his full masculinity, the protector, the provider, and he took that role. So they each had their role, and they came together in this perfect union. It's gone. It's been jettisoned to the side by fake eyelashes, fake nails, fake boobs. Everything's fake. My world is fake. I live in a fantasy, and you're going to match it. You're going to be my 6-figure guy. Have you heard the 6 feet?
Yes, yes.
Figures?
Yeah.
Yeah.
666. Yeah.
Oh, Marco,
It's interesting that you mentioned it, Donna, because what I see, women don't bring anything to the table. They are not a clean slate. They come with a lot of baggage. But a man, because our society has been holding men to higher standards, they are still supposed to provide. They're still supposed to take care. And it's in the male innate instinct to protect a woman, right? So that they are still fulfilling the male traditional, let's say, traditional male duties, whereas women are not behaving in a traditional way.
No, it's all been skewed, unfortunately, and just the whole I'm superior to men. I love this one. How about this one? The Boss Babe. You guys see that,
Run,
right?
run.
Okay. I'm going to have some fun here. Elena, Donna, hold your hands up to the camera like this. I want to see your nails. Okay. Guys, do you notice either one of these women have long painted nails? Does a what?
They're not fat.
Do women with long painted nails, are they able to do any practical work?
Hell no.
Guys,
Real? Well, they're good at stuffing their
do you
mouth.
say, oh damn, oh gum,
Who said
I'm
that?
getting
Was
hard.
that you?
Look at her nails. No, find a woman with short nails. Does at
No, the
least
long.
do some work. I mean,
Okay.
practical stuff. I mean, house cleaning and
You can't
she's not
function with that stuff. Steve, you can't function as a real person in the real world if you've got nails out to here. Now, I'm sorry. There's probably some females out there that are going to just, rake me over the coals for this one. I don't give a shit. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. Get over it. You know what? On my channel, this is what I say all the time. If you don't like what I'm saying, there's an X. It's a free country. I'm not married to you. I'm okay if you leave. Because in this, if my channel's name is Donna's Doing It. I told the story last night about how that came about. And it's because I realized when I was trying to build my channel, you're supposed to find this clever, catchy name and okay, well, how do I name a channel where I'm always doing everything? My son left 5 years ago. When something breaks, you know who fixes it? I do. I've done it. I've literally rebuilt my home, renovated my property in Arkansas on my own. It's taken me 2.5 years. It's still not done. But I learned on my own to do it because I had to be self-sufficient. Now, is that the preferred way? Not really. I would love to have a masculine man in my life to take over all this shit. I'm sick of doing it. But until that happens, this is where I'm at. And in that light, do you think, I completely redid the master bath. My son will tell you, because he was there. We gutted it ourselves, and he went to the Navy, and I built that bathroom myself. And I posted pictures of it on my YouTube channel of what it looks like. I built a Bellagio type shower, and I did it because I learned it myself. You can't have long nails if you're doing plumbing. I plumbed the entire bathroom myself using PEX. I learned how to do the shark bite fittings. I did all of that. And I'm on well water out there.
Donna, I always give an example to women how many women have you met who are plumbers? In my entire life, you are the first one.
So the historical reason behind your long nails and your makeup, it was actually a sign of status that you did not need to work, right? Because if you can have, long nails that get in the way of everything, what you're saying is, I have people who wait on me hand and foot. And this goes back to old world Europe, right? Where, they would have the dresses that women wore, completely impractical, right? But if the bigger your dress, the more difficult it was to move around and get into the dress and get out of the dress. In order to wear the dress itself, you had to have people help put you in it.
Yeah.
But just having the dress shows that you are a woman of stature. And I think that's what a lot of women are trying to signal today. Well, I don't think they know that that's what they're trying to signal. They are just parroting what they saw before, right?
But do you see the logic in what you just said? Do you see the logic in how that came about?
Oh, yeah.
It was a status symbol. That's logical. What is it now? Have you seen these women? And I don't mean to make a cultural shift here, but there's some women out there, their nails are like this.
Oh, I know.
5 inches long.
Yes.
Okay, I got a question for you, Donna. Okay, I live in the Midwest. Women here are not as skinny as women in California. Okay. So, but I've noticed the bigger the woman, basically overweight women, have painted nails and longer nails. Because it's like, my body is shit, but damn, look at my beautiful nails.
But and the hair extensions, right? The hair extensions.
Oh yeah,
cover the fat.
I mean, it's artificial enhancements. No, okay, we've used this term recently. You can't put lipstick on a pig. Okay, you know what? It's not fooling the guys. They still see your size and the shadow you're casting on the wall. You know what? Cut your nails and have some self-discipline so you're not eating your feelings and turning into a land whale.
Well,
may I say something about losing weight? Because this is important. And I want people
ahead.
to
Sure.
I told you guys I'm 63 years old. 3 weeks ago, I was 151 pounds. I got challenged by someone that I respect to lose 10 pounds. And I said, challenge accepted. Boom. And I cut my diet. I cut out sugar. I cut out carbs. I started eating clean. And I lost 11 pounds. I'm actually down to 139 this morning. It's now 12 pounds in 3 weeks. I'm an old lady. You see this?
Okay.
If I can do
Yes,
this,
I do.
so can they. So why aren't they doing it? Because they're lazy and they don't give a shit.
Well, I'm kind of saying the same thing. You notice I mentioned in my what I said that triggered you, self-discipline.
Amen.
Okay, what did it take for you to do that? Self-discipline.
Commitment.
Yeah, and it's self-discipline. What does it take for you to do a bathroom project? Self-discipline. I need it done. I have to learn how to do it. It sucks, but I'm going to do it anyway. That's just self-discipline. The other side of If you don't have self-discipline, you're going to be lazy. And, you're not going to do it. And then you're going to not take accountability for that and blame something else or somebody else. And most women actually do that. So I think one of the key things to look for in a woman is her self-discipline. It's not her accomplishments, particularly, but in general, women get heavier because they lack the self-discipline to tell themselves, no, I'm not going to eat that.
Yeah, well, Steve, how can they say no to themselves if they were raised when nobody said no to them? Especially if, Donna, we've talked about single mothers, and you've been in the red pill for a while, right? You know that the problem is that single mothers, they tend to spoil their children a lot. And when they have zero self-discipline because they chose to leave their man, right, and not comply with him, then we are talking about most people here, okay? So yeah, how do we expect women to have any self-discipline? Because it's usually taught to children when they are very little, like as little as 6 years old.
No, less than 6 years old.
Less than 6 years old.
Jordan Peterson's talked about this. If you don't have the kid trained by 6, they are untrainable. And it's so the psychologists figured this all out in the 50s. There's 3 stages of psychological development in the human mind. The first 6 years, that's where all the primary psychological formation is done. Then you get up to somewhere between 18 to 22. That's where kind of their personality is fleshed out. And then there's this, it runs till about their 50s where their 40s or 50s. It's kind of where the midlife crisis tends to happen. If you heard of that, where people, they sort of, they discover kind of their negative shadow and how to corral their negative shadow. So if a child has not been taught discipline by the age of 6, you basically can't teach it to them after that.
Because so I wonder. Okay, go ahead, Darwin. Sorry.
Well, it's just because there is a point, and we don't teach this to our young parents anymore. But there is a point where you cannot recover that child, and we in the West kind of treat it as, well, it is society's. They will learn as they go out into society, and I just want to be seen as the nice person. I want them to love me, right? But by the time they get out into society, it's far too late. And that, so where does the entitlement come from? Well, when you grow up in a house where you've been given everything you want, you were never taught self-discipline because for whatever reason, and the reason I say this, it's not just a woman thing. Plenty of men have been told to raise their kids this way too, and they do, and it doesn't work for the men either. Now, having a dad around is still better because the kid will watch dad going through life and encountering these things and go, wow, I might have to think about that. But yeah, without that discipline early, it cannot be done later.
So I wonder, because
can I interject? I've been kind of quiet.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I don't know how to jump in all the time. But, there's a few things that have been mentioned. We're talking about why so many marriages end in divorce, and related to what Plutarch has said and Donna said and everybody said so far. On our stream, so Sandman, that's Steve, Plutarch, and I, we are the Resurgence of Sanity. So you can like and subscribe there. Elena's our Miss Secretary for our channel.
Yeah, I do all the clips and shorts.
We're very thankful for Elena.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Why do so many marriages end in divorce? Okay, so I'm going to give Donna a little pushback. I'm agreeing. I want to suggest a change in terms to traditional terms, talking about traditional roles. They didn't call it roles. So I studied this for 4 years. It got me in a lot of trouble when I was a minister in the Orthodox Presbyterian Church. studied early church fathers, studied Hebrew, Greek, Latin, so on and so forth. I studied pretty much all the sources you could probably think of in a lot of the medieval, early church fathers and reformers, Puritans, post-Reformation, 19th century Presbyterians. Okay, so over and over again, there's these things called a hierarchy, which flows out of a natural order, natural law, natural relations. So there's duty, there's superiors, inferiors, equals. In family, church, and as they use, I think we would say society, but they traditionally use commonwealth or kingdom. So there's three spheres: family, church, commonwealth. And in each one of them, there's relations and duties required of and sins condemned of superiors, inferiors, and equals. In the marriage relation, they are not equals. The husband is the superior in position, according to rank. The woman is the inferior. There are specific duties. People say roles. That's like a 20th century, 21st century term. Usually came about because of the introduction of egalitarianism and the halfway house of egalitarianism, the abomination I call complementarianism. It was a hierarchy. It was a patriarchy. And it was based on nature. And of course, Holy Scripture did have things that reinforced the natural order. And children were raised in this hierarchy where they saw parents fulfilling their duties as mother and father, husband and wife in that proper hierarchical relation. They knew what their duties were. The church spent time to tell them what their duties were. Even the Roman Catholics, I'm not Roman Catholic, but they had, letters from popes. They had the Roman Catechism, all sorts of things that spelled these things out. And what happens when you reject nature, when you reject the natural order? The church white knights and simps for women and does not uphold the authority of the father. You have all this crap. Society degenerates.
Yeah.
But Nick, we've evolved. That's the way it used to be. Now marriage is a partnership.
Yeah, hell no.
Okay, I'll expand on that. We all kind of accept that women, the fact that women don't like accountability, to be wrong. Okay, so think about this. Okay, the man is the head. If he says do something, okay, a command, an order, a request, however you want to pose it. And she's supposed to be submissive and do it. Guess what? If she does it and he's wrong, she's not responsible. He is.
Right.
His morality, if he says, I want to do this in the bedroom, and she says, oh no, that's sinful. Well, if she does it, it's on him because he is accountable to God. She is accountable to him.
Steve, that's
so. I mean, I'm. Go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say, just to piggyback what you just said. Once again, we're placing blame on the man.
But that's fine. Men can bear that. You know what? If I tell you to do something and I'm wrong, I will bear the penalty. I'll take the consequences. Just do what I told you to do in a respectful manner. And you know what? Most men are not going to tell women to do egregious things.
No, and most men don't know how to say no either. Hey. It's okay to tell your woman no. It's okay. She'll get over it.
Elena, how often do I tell you no?
Every single day.
Have you been harmed for this?
Severely.
Telling you,
you can see, I'm still alive here, but yes, my feelings have been hurt.
But he's telling you to protect you. He's protecting you. That's his job.
I know. I'm just speaking.
We have a group chat, and Elena said, "Oh, I'm going to post this," and we're like, "No, talk to your husband first." And he's like, "No."
I'm being told no all the time,
Well,
guys.
okay. Now, I want to take this a little bit further because occasionally, guys, Elena is not some perfect, unrebellious,
Yes.
uncontentious woman. Occasionally, she will, against everyone's better judgment, she will do it anyway.
Yes.
And every single time, she regrets it later. Something happens, a relationship blows up, or she gets correctly called out for a mistake that was made in understanding, and then we have to go back and we have to explain why that happened. Like, and is so I liken it to, okay, Donna, you're a mom, and Nick, you're a dad. Sometimes with children, they're running into danger, and you have to reach and snatch them by the collar before they can harm
Done that.
themselves. Right?
Picked one out of the street. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Okay. And then later on, once the situation has calmed down, then you explain to them what they, why you acted in such a harsh way. They don't understand at the time that they're doing it, because children are in their emotions too. Right. So,
Yeah.
Can I say something to that?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
One of the biggest mistakes that I made was interfering in his male responsibility with my son. Well, fighting him.
Mm-hmm.
He would make a decision. I would fight him on it. And then later on, after the dust settled, I'd go, oh, he was right. And it didn't dawn on me then, because I was too stupid to understand that he was doing what he's supposed to do as the man of the family. There are specific roles for the man and specific roles for the woman in the raising of children. The man comes to it as logic, and teaches the masculine role and the masculinity, the masculine skills that my son needed. And I'm now when I look at it on it, I'm so grateful, because he turned out so great. But he couldn't have done that if I was doing it by myself. He wouldn't have turned out the way he is if he was raised by a single mom.
So can I change your language just a little bit?
You may.
Because it is not about smart or dumb or stupid. Okay. It is about emotion versus logic. Okay. So like Elena she and Steve and Nick will tell you this. Elena's a very smart woman. She has a relatively high IQ. She refuses to take the test because she thinks she's going to fail somehow. But if I had to place her, I'd say she's about 120. Okay. And yet she still gets caught up in the emotion of it. In the human brain, emotions come from your limbic system, fight, flight responses, etc. They come before your logical brain can engage. So what you were describing to me sounds like you got caught up in the emotion of the situation, right? And later on, once your rational brain could catch up, it did, and you were like, "Oh, shit, man, he was right." And it, so your emotions absolutely can and will override your conscious intelligence.
And I don't disagree with what you just said, but what I didn't like about what I did was the angst and the frustration that I gave this man, the conflict that took place to get to that logic, right? Why did he have to tolerate that? Do you see what I'm saying?
No, I agree with.
That's where the frustration comes from me. I'm not saying I'm stupid, because I know I'm not, but my behavior was stupid. The way that I interact, I caused grief when it wasn't necessary. And that's
how you were taught. That's how you were trained from a young age. And the where we have gotten in society is the result of a long train of abuses and usurpations by women, starting in really the 1840s. Okay. but if you want to go back to where it is, the modern incarnation of it, go back to the 1920s. Okay, there is not a woman alive who actually lived in a true natural hierarchy. Okay, and so your mother learned it from somebody, and they actually wrote books back in the 1840s up to the 1920s about how to convince women to behave this way and do this. I don't know if you've seen Rachel Wilson or follow Rachel Wilson. If you haven't read her book, I absolutely recommend it. She goes into the history of how this was done. I'm not going to get into all of it here because it's a long history, but this was done to you. But now we are in a system where no one left alive has any clue how to behave any other way.
True.
And you know, guys,
Rachel Wilson's, okay, I have to put this plug in. Rachel Wilson's book is called Occult Feminism.
Oh, I saw that.
And, yeah, okay. So that's the name of the book. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I didn't do the plug correctly because I was thinking about the content. I know.
You guys, I hate to do this to you, but I am actually going to have to log off here because I do have another obligation in about 15 minutes and I have to go and prepare for that. So I just wanted to say thank you for having me. You guys are all just a great pleasure to be here. And Elena, the invite, I don't know what to say other than thank you so much for having me.
well, thank you for coming. I appreciate your work, Donna. Keep up the great work. Women need to hear it. What I noticed also, I'll say it quickly so that you get the message. I see so many women try to get into the red pill. This is where I get really suspicious because all they do is they try to send out the message to men, what men are supposed to do. And then they agree with the money, muscles, game aspect because it feeds straight into the feminist delusion and entitlement. But then when I see women actually calling out female bad behavior, talking to women and, sending out a good message to other women, that's something that, that needs to be done. So thank you for your work.
Absolutely. I think what you just said is very poignant, and it's very important to understand that there are those that will ride the red pill coattails. I'm not here to ride anything. I'm not making any money from this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have a fabulous job that pays me very well. I'm going to retire very nicely here in another year or so. I'm doing this because it needed to be done.
Awesome.
Hey, Donna,
Yeah.
I have enjoyed discussing things with you. You obviously have a pretty keen mind. I don't encounter that very often in a lot of women. So, through Elena, I would enjoy having other conversations with you. So,
yeah, we would love to have you back, Donna. Mm-hmm.
Anytime. I'm going to go. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Donna.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, it's such a pleasure to see another like-minded woman, at least on my part. I don't get to see it very often, guys. So definitely really, really enjoyed talking to Donna. Go subscribe to her YouTube channel, guys. I did list it in the description box. It's Donna's Doing It. Okay. And
here's an observation. Donna is opinionated.
mm-hmm.
And you got to be on your game if you're going to talk to her. But she's not contentious. If you're a smarter guy, you need to find a woman who has that spirit. She's not going to just take whatever you say and just be a dumb cunt. She's going to want to understand, Elena kind of has the same spirit. Yeah, you're not going to find a ready-made woman. You're not going to find a woman who's perfect in just blindly does what you want. You're going to have discussions. And if you're a smarter guy, that's what you want. Okay, there's this thing called associative mating. You got to find someone of kind of equivalence. Well, ironically, the smarter women out there fare worse than a smarter man, because they need a man who can engage with them, maybe be a little bit smarter. And they struggle because if they're significantly above average intelligence, their dating pool shrinks even more. And most men are thinking with the little head, not with the big head.
Yeah, that's true.
And so they go for the body over the brains.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, that was something. I come from a family. I'm the only male child, right? My family, long history of generally higher IQ, higher intelligence men, and some women. Both of my sisters are pretty intelligent. My mother's pretty intelligent too, right? And they said the one complaint, they had a major complaint about my ex-wife was that they just could not relate. They could not carry a conversation, and I couldn't have that same type of conversation I had with my mom and my sisters with my ex-wife. I think it was because the intelligence factor.
Yeah. Ted is enjoying our discussion, but the government has undermined and sabotaged fathers.
Don't get Nick started, Ted. Don't
Yes,
do it.
I know.
We have videos on that at the Resurgence of Sanity. There's one, it's called The Color of Law. There's another one called Natural Law. There's another one called The Tyranny of Family Court. So there's 3 of them you can go watch. We encourage you to watch at the Resurgence of Sanity. Yep.
Yeah.
So our talks on the Resurgence are timeless because we're talking about concepts. You can go back and you can watch something. Well, we've been around for a little over a year. You can go back and watch something from the beginning. And really, it's just as pertinent today as it was back then. In fact, some of the things we talked about a year ago are prescient and have become more important and more talked about today. And we were talking about it months before it became a popular topic of discussion.
Yeah. Some of your live streams are really timeless. I keep referring people to the mask she wears because was Doug MPA. He said that women in the West are very here. I'm trying to find the comment here. Eastern European women are better than women in the West. What would you say, guys? I know that we did a lot of shows, Doug
In
MPA.
some ways, yes. In some ways, they could be worse.
Yeah.
What I would say is to this is the moment you try to make some women better than others, you've probably already lost frame. But on the basis of group, I understand it's a heuristic, it's a shortcut. But when you're getting into a relationship, you're dealing with a person. And look, guys, Eastern European women play the game better than every Western woman that I have ever encountered. These women know game at a level that you guys only think you understand. Okay.
Let me explain this. They are more traditional. They are thinner. They are more beautiful. They are more compliant and more willing to serve. So on the surface, Yeah, they're greater. They're much better women. Yes. But all women figure out how to manipulate men to get what they want.
Mhm.
So, since they're under a more rigid or hierarchical structure, their skills at manipulation have to be honed to a greater degree. In the US, there's no need to hone those skills. They can just come out with just a raw emotion and do whatever the fuck they want to tirade and control the men. No, they have to be a lot smarter about how they control the men in Eastern Europe.
Oh, yeah.
So, therefore, and Elena can attest to this, Russian men are very dominant and assertive. And a Russian man, how he treats his woman would be considered gross abuse in the US.
For the most part. There are obviously simps there too,
Oh,
but
oh yeah.
yeah. Women are surrounded by these strong masculine men. I did share with you a couple of videos on my Instagram, guys, in my Instagram stories, and then also I did share that one on YouTube as well, so you can go watch some older videos. How Russian men behave with Russian women, so that you can see how they talk to Russian women, and this is kind of the attitude that women expect from strong, dominant, masculine men. And we all know that all women by nature, they want these kinds of men. So yeah, they if you are simping for them, they will take your money, they will smile, they will scam you, but
So, what
they-
happens if a nice guy, American man, goes over to Eastern Europe,
Oh no.
finds a wife,
Oh no.
and treats her nicely? How's that going to work out?
I've seen
Well,
this happen. These women love nice American men because they can take them for all they're worth. Okay. And the American guys will sit there and pay and pay and pay. Guys, she knows what she's doing. She's comfortable with it. It's okay in her culture. There's, you can't stop it. Just,
Yeah.
you've got to be on your game. Okay. Like and there are endless stories of men who come back and they will tell you that these women will happily, with a smile on their face, they will tell you everything you want to hear. They will fuck you silly. Okay.
Yeah.
And they'll clean you out doing it.
That's so true. I've seen so many men doing it, especially in Europe and like here in the US too. Women
They do it in
and a lot,
Russia.
they do it in Russia too. And see, a lot of men here in the West, I think they are conflating game that women are playing, because women are better at playing game, flirting in Eastern Europe. They are conflating it with femininity. So they say, well, but she's more feminine. She responded in a more feminine way.
Well, they do. Okay. That doesn't mean that she doesn't see you as a mark. And you're just, that's all you are, is a mark. You're somebody who provides a lifestyle. She's just more willing to give you. Okay, here's the difference. She's more willing to give you what you want to get what she wants than the American woman is. That's it.
Yeah.
So, if I find a nice feminine woman, will she be easier to manage than a nasty American woman?
Define
Frame above all. Frame above all.
Exactly, Nick. I'm saying
That's your
define
phrase.
easier.
That's your phrase, Plutarch. Yeah.
Right, but there's, yes, there's a reason I came up with it. I have to live with one of these Eastern women who are very good at buttering up men. But the point is that without frame, you won't see this coming, because you're used to the Western mentality of women. You're used to them being brutal, garish, over the top, just we call it insane here. No, these women will tell you everything you want to hear, and they will happily, and they'll say things like, "Oh, well, but you're going to hear this a lot, guys. The man should pay." Why? Well, because that's the traditional role, right? And you're going to go, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense." Okay. And she's just going to get you to pay and pay and pay. And yeah, she might even have sex with you. Yeah, she might even, but she's got other guys that she's doing this to. I've seen this happen. She'll have a local boyfriend. Okay. That she's actually sticks around with when you're not there. You know what I mean? Yeah. So don't mistake the fact that they don't behave like American women for this idea that they aren't women, because that's really what the people are trying to say. Oh, when they're saying Eastern women, no, they're still women. They still play all the games.
Oh,
They're just
okay. What
at
is a woman? What do you mean? She's not a woman. What defines a woman? What behaviors? What skills? What motivations? What is a woman?
Well, what I'm saying is that the guys are saying, the guys are saying that to themselves. Well,
she's more feminine. And remember, guys, we talked about femininity. It's not manipulating men into doing what women want them to do. The essential definition of femininity, right? But this is what women want now. They bat their eyelashes, they reveal their décolletage, they say certain things, they change their language. There was one lady who wrote a book about femininity. All she does, she's teaching women how to make men do what you want them to do. It's not femininity, it's manipulation.
Let me summarize this. You cannot go to Eastern Europe or Asia to find a ready-made good woman. No. Chances of finding one over there are really no better than in the US. Your challenges are going to be different.
Yep.
But yet you still, you cannot find a ready-made woman. You need to be the leader, and whatever her issues, you're going to have to manage those. And if she appears to be this perfect woman, how do you know it's not a mask? Or you meet a woman in church that she's a born-again virgin. Well, and I'm using that loosely. Oh, she found Jesus. She's not like that anymore. Yeah. How do you know it's not an act? How do you know she hasn't convinced herself that it's true? So even though she didn't really change her nature, she believes she did. So you can't detect a lie from her because she actually believes it.
Christy, we actually did we were talking about Passport Bro, and we actually did an episode.
Yeah, we did
on that. So I think we did it on your this channel, Elena, right?
Yes, we did it on my channel, I think.
And so I want to refer the people who are thinking about that. There's a right way to do it. Plutarch did it. There's a right way to do it, and it's going to cost you money and probably a lot of time. There's a right, if you can't, there's a possibility of success, but there's a right way to do it. And I suggest you listen to that live stream we did, where I think Plutarch pretty much gave all the information and how to do it right and how not to do it. So,
yeah, I mean, everyone wants to try to make, so the title of this stream is Why So Many Marriages End in Divorce. Well, why do so many marriages end in divorce? Because we place all of our faith in the wrong tools, in the wrong messages. Okay. And I've thought about this since we did that Passport Bro stream, and there's a reason why I say frame above all. Okay. money, muscles, and game are all external factors, right? They all exist outside of me. They are things that I control outside of me. When you see people talking about this is not to say that money, muscles, game is bad, but when you see people talking about it without placing frame over it, they're often trying to use that to either cover for a lack of frame or to hide, to build a wall to hide behind. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that if you can't, if you think that money, muscles, and game are going to save you, we call that hypergamy insurance on our channel. Okay.
Mhm.
There is no insurance for hypergamy, because if you don't have frame, you will never understand the game that's being played. You'll never see the markers of divorce coming before they whack you with it. You will never understand why she's doing what she's doing, because you can't see what she's doing.
Well, let me say it this way. Money, muscles, game is superficial. You're kind of putting on an act. Yeah, it's good. Fine. Great. But frame is the core competency. It's who you are. It's your dominance. It's your morality. It's your ability to just say, you know what? I'm responsible for whatever happens, and I'm going to be directive, and this is who I am. That's a core competency.
Mm-hmm.
So we in martial arts training, they have this concept called muscle memory. Okay, you have to train what to do. And then after you train for a long time, when this happens, boom, you just react and you take care of it. It doesn't have to come from your brain. The what to do memory, theoretically, has been transferred down to the muscles. So it's just part of your core competency. And that's what frame does for you versus money, muscles, game, which is a cerebral activity to start with.
And also notice how money, muscles, game kind of provides the hypogamy insurance to women. This is exactly what women want in a man, right?
Well,
Dance, monkey dance.
it's dance, monkey dance.
Mhm.
What money, muscles, game is what women want.
Exactly.
Okay. And so if you don't have frame to go with it, all you're doing is submitting to women. And I can tell you right now, the quickest way to end up in divorce court is to submit yourself to a woman, is to her frame. Because if you focus on money, muscles, game, you're giving up your frame because, well, I want a woman, or this is how I keep a woman. You tell yourself that's how it's supposed to work. Then she gets something that she can use to control you, and that is frame. And then she gets your money, your muscles, and your game. Women like to play game, guys. Like, they like to play game. Okay, they enjoy that. They love money, and muscles are good to look at. Women like those things.
Okay, guys, I have a question for you. Ted here says Nietzsche and Schopenhauer understood the manipulative and strategic game that men are playing and women are doing it instinctively by nature. Haven't you guys talked about Nietzschean philosophy on the resurgence of femininity?
We talked about a different aspect of it.
Oh, okay. I just was going to refer Ted to check your live stream. I just don't remember which one it was.
You can make true observations of nature. That's fine. However, I would totally reject the Nietzschean Schopenhauer philosophy, even though they can make proper observations.
Right. Yeah. And in this case, they and I've said this before, Nietzsche in particular made some incredibly incisive observations on the human condition. Like, there's no doubt of that. how he chose to deal with them ends up being flawed. But you can, and this is an important point, actually. You can make good observations and choose to do the wrong things about that. In fact, when we were talking about money muscles game versus frame, that's actually an example of that in practice. We can all make the same observations of women, and some people will choose to go the route of the money muscles game, the hypergamy insurance, and others will choose to say, no, I've got to, dominate my frame, build myself up, that dominant masculine presence, all of that. There is a right answer here. Okay. Some people aren't going to choose it. We can only educate and point it out. We can't stop them.
Well, Andrew did a debate with some feminist guy lately, and it was all about the descriptors are the problem. For him, just challenging women and describing their behaviors. Oh, he hates women. Okay, just let me go from there. Okay, we are describing female behavior. Okay, they try to manipulate. Okay. They form a narrative. They may not tell the truth about things and they'll believe something different. Am I being critical? No. I love women. Most of them piss me off. But once in a while, a woman comes along that I can have a conversation with. And, I'm not going around hating women. I'm not. I don't hate women. I can describe their behaviors. Does that mean the behaviors are a problem with women? No. It's just their nature. And guess what? That's solved if you're in a hierarchy and if the man just stays true to course and, doesn't put up with shit. It doesn't mean he's being cruel to her. It doesn't mean she's being abused. She's actually probably better off in that circumstance, life circumstance, emotional, long-term well-being. He's not okay for calling out these behaviors or talking about these behaviors. We're seemed like, oh, you're a misogynist. Look how nasty you're talking about women. It is what it is. I can't change what it is. That doesn't mean I dislike women. Or based on this information, you can't find a woman that can be a companion, a helpmeet. But you're not going to find a ready-made woman. And it takes active management. And she will actually appreciate that. Not in the moment, but over time.
Okay,
and
Steve.
Even if she doesn't, okay, well, it's still maybe for the better good.
Okay. Not all women can do that. And I think that's, again, getting back to what we were talking about earlier. Yes, a woman who is properly reared will behave like you described. Okay. But a woman who has been raised in a certain culture, they're going to rebel against it because they've been told that the rebellion is a good thing, that the rebellion is. So, what did we did a stream on vetting church ladies.
Oh yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah, it was a fun one. Well, why did we do that one? Because why specifically vetting church ladies? Because even church ladies require vetting. It is not simple enough. It is not effective enough to say, oh, well, just go to church and find a woman because all women who go to church are good. No, I did that. Nick and I did that. And Steve did that. We all three of us are divorced from church women. So you must operate in a frame of truth and true understanding of women. You must operate in a frame of all women are capable of doing these horrible, nasty things to you. Okay. You have to have money, muscles, game, and frame. But that won't stop her if she herself chooses to act out. Women have agency. We've said that before, and we'll say it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ricky effing Couture, Tom Brady, and so on and so forth. What happened to them?
Run through the courts.
So I think the implications of this are you have to vet a woman.
You do.
It's not sufficient.
Yep.
Oh, if I love her enough, she will be a perfect woman. I can outlove her rebellion and turn her into a good woman.
Mhm.
How's that work, Nick?
Oh, it can get no, like that's what I was. Oh, you're just not loving her enough. Oh, not loving her enough. I'm like, guys, what else can I do? Loving her enough doesn't mean I have to accept all the bull crap, and it's actually unloving not to rebuke her or admonish her when she's doing something that's terrible, like tearing down your house, like the foolish woman. I was told, oh, that wasn't loving. That wasn't nice. That's not going to work. Of course, it's not going to work, but you still have to maintain your frame, maintain your actually the Westminster Shorter or Larger Catechism talked about the duties of superiors is maintaining your authority. Hello, guys.
And even
It's
then,
not,
it might not be enough to keep her.
it might not, she still leave you.
Right. Because there's two people in this relationship. So again, why do so many marriages end in divorce? Because men walk into marriage thinking that two things. They think that they can keep her from divorcing her or divorcing him. And that if she does divorce him, that it's clearly his fault. He didn't money enough. He didn't game enough. He didn't muscles enough.
If the man just serves her better and longer and harder and loves her better, longer, and harder, the marriage is going to work, right?
No,
It's
no guarantee.
Actually, the harder you try to serve your wife, the more you tried to love her, whatever that means, through to heal things, the worse it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got the hierarchy inverted here.
Yep.
You need to lead, she needs to serve. If you start serving your wife, you got it fucked up. Okay, it's just brutal truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What would you say to the guys who just say, well, I don't want to deal with women, period, so there is no point in vetting the women because all of them are just evil, right?
I'd say it's a bit black pilled, but it's a moral choice.
I would say it's a rational choice.
Okay.
You've looked at the information available to you, and the Red Pill has done a fantastic job of putting lots of information, and then you analyze yourself and you come to the conclusion that maybe that's just not something you're interested in dealing with. To which I have to say, excellent. You, sir, have done you have done the analysis. You have done the work, and you look at yourself and you go, I'm just not. I'm not willing to go there. And when
fine.
And when men come back and they say, "Oh, well, you're not man enough for," I have to say, okay,
Not
to that
wanting to
man.
deal with women.
Well, no, to that man, whether he be red pill or not, I have to say, you are serving woman's purpose. Because A woman will come in and they'll say, but I want that man. I want that guy who can behave, who can think for himself. And, women like that guys that have frame. They like guys that have game. They like guys that have money and muscles, right? And so the women will come in and they will say, but I want that guy. And so if you're a guy out there who looks at a guy who has sworn off women, I mean, if you're a Christian, first, go read Paul. Okay. I forget what it is, the epistles, I think. But he talks about that in there. It is
First
okay.
Corinthians 6. First Corinthians 6, I think.
Yeah, okay. 7, but, so if you're a Christian, you've actually just said something that is unchristian. But even if you're not, okay, what all you are doing when you crap on men who don't want to deal with women, all you're doing is saying, I serve the purpose of women first. I am more interested in pushing men into being with women for the benefit of women. It cannot be for the benefit of the man. The man has already told you what he thinks the optimal outcome for him is. And there will be things that he's looking at, like maybe he recognizes that he is not in a mental or emotional place to handle women's shit. Okay.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that 100%. If men, go ahead.
So, you're supposed to marry lest you burn, for lust and stuff. So it's ideal that men should marry, right? If you can't control yourself, sure, get married. People say, well, Nick, are you black pilled? I said, no. But here, I'm a realist. I'm red pilled. Could there ever be a woman in my life? Sure. Here, a few things, though. I'm celibate or abstinent, you could say, stealing, whatever. Women still want to talk to me. Women still want to get with me. I tell them no. I have 7 kids, right? I'm probably going to be on the hook for child support whenever they get all that crap figured out in hopefully July. Possibly spousal support. I got 7 kids. You're going to tell me I'm going to find a woman. I'm 37, right? You can tell me I'm going to find a woman that fits all my criteria. That's not going to run me under the bus. Going to put up with 7 kids, and I have to send out all this money. Yeah, I don't think so. Could it possibly happen? Sure. But everybody's like, oh, but you get free to remarry. And I'm like, remarry who?
Yeah, I know.
That's reality. Sure, women will want to talk with me, get with me, but I don't want to get with them because they're probably single mothers, whores, and they don't want me probably long term. They want to use me. So I just don't want to deal with it. So
I was saying that if men decide not to deal with women, and I totally understand and I support that decision, because it's safe to assume, and I've mentioned it before in my Substack articles, that all women are feminists 3 or 4 today. And then women have to prove to you with their actions, with their attitude, that they are not that. But
okay, let me stop you here. All okay, this is one of those terms. She's not wrong when she says that, but all does not mean all. It might mean 90%, 95%, some high majority. Doesn't mean it's okay if all women are whores. It's a general statement. Ladies, don't get all butthurt about general statements. Just because it's an all does not mean
it just makes
you have to refute the statement. You just be the best woman you can be, and you may not fall into that.
It just makes it harder for those who don't fall under that category to prove to men that they are not that. You see what the sisterhood has done to you, ladies. Now you have to actually, if you want a good man, you have to prove yourself to these men with your actions, with your attitude, with your behavior.
No. You don't have to prove anything. You have to be. Okay, so cut your nails. Short nails. Don't put on a lot of makeup. Grow your hair long. Just be a genuine person. Don't prove yourself to any man, any other person that you're good. Just be honest, be accountable. And you know what? What did Donna say? Did she fuck up? Absolutely. She didn't speak ill will of her ex-husband.
I liked it.
She said she
She
challenged him when she should have just kept her mouth shut. You know what? She had accountability. She wasn't putting on an act. She was just being real and being accountable. And okay, oh yeah, she did have long hair. Yes, she is 63. Okay. You know what? I found her to be a pleasant woman who is easy to talk to. And she's not trying to prove anything to anybody.
Well, Steve,
just
you
think
know,
about it.
it's because she has humility. She had self-discipline. I'm talking about most women here who were not raised that way. Okay, who don't have humility, who don't
well, you
have
used a key word. You said
self-discipline.
most, not all. That was all that you just made Steve's point for him.
Assume that all of them are like that, and if they show to you that they are not like that, then you
that's more
start waiting.
useful.
Then you start, applying all of these red flags and like challenging them.
Always vet women. Always
Vet women. This is the point that I was trying to make,
Now,
because
when you
even the men who don't want to deal with women, you still kind of have to vet them, because then
no, you really don't. One of the things about a man who chooses not to deal with women is his vetting process is very simple. I don't deal with women. Hey, Nick, how's that working for you?
I try even harder, but again, they don't want me for long-term shit. I know that.
Yeah.
Or if they do, they're a single mommy and want a daddy figure, and I don't.
But
wanna
you
do
are
that.
still applying the vetting, Nick. You are still applying the vetting process. Like, okay, she
Well,
doesn't
I'm
fall
not
under.
black pilled. I'm not completely MGTOW. I'm just functionally am.
Right. And
yeah.
yeah, and there's going to be lots of guys who they choose to not deal with women for their own reasons, and that's why I was saying, if you're a guy and you walk around and say, oh well, you need to get out there and deal with, and you're not a man if you don't get out there and deal with women. Get lost. That's really what I was trying to say. There are lots of good reasons for men to not want to deal with women. Nick just gave one that had nothing to do with I'm a MGTOW black pill guy and I just hate all women. No.
Don't.
Right. No, he said, look, I've got 7 kids. I've got, all this child support. Like, my life is already too full. I don't have the time or energy to deal with other women, so I'm just not going to. That is a perfectly valid response that does not make Nick less of a man.
Oh,
okay.
Darling, I don't disagree with it. It's just like he's still like
no.
Like no, but he has the criteria.
He has standards.
Yes, he has the standards. Isn't it vetting? I mean, like
vetting is a process. It's an action.
So vetting is when a man is looking for a woman and then to settle down with.
Correct.
You,
that's
right?
vetting.
Okay. Then
women are finding me.
Let me
I'm not looking for them
to explain this. Nick has a threshold, and he walks around with this threshold.
Okay.
Not really looking for women, but if he actually encounters a woman who exceeds the threshold, then she might be worth vetting to determine if something might work. But with that threshold, it's like a no-brainer. She didn't meet the threshold. You don't have to spend any time vetting her because she didn't even reach the threshold of being worthy of that.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm
not spinning plates.
Filter.
I'm abstinent. I'm not spinning plates. So if you don't even hit that threshold, I have no interest. So then pretty much none meet the threshold, and there you go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So but yes, standards are your friend. Keep your standards high, my fellow brothers. But I there's guys out there who would tell Nick, "Oh, Nick, but you could go find something that fits better in a different country. You should go out there and chase a passport bro. You should go out chase passport bro."
Yeah, go to Philly.
Oh my.
I know, right?
We do not make geographic predictions about women in the West because women in the West, guys, there is no better. There's just pick your flavor of poison.
I know. And, actually, even if you go to any other country, they have their own things that you need to watch out for. And guys, those of you who are joining us late, we did mention that we did a show on passport bros, so you might want to watch it. Okay.
Yeah. So if I had to place a kind of final answer on why so many marriages end in divorce, because we men, we women, we as a culture do not place nearly enough emphasis on frame, on men being men, on letting men be the dominant masculine creatures that they were built to be. And we try to hide behind things like money, muscles, game, or we try to hide behind, see too many men do this. Well, but she has all of the legal power. Yes, she does. That's all true. Okay. It's all true. So you do what Nick does. You walk away from it. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Frame is just a red pill term for hierarchy.
Yeah.
Christian term is hierarchy. You're in charge, you call the shots. If you're in charge and you call the shots, you got the frame, which is kind of a secular term. True, meaningful. I'm not negating that. But frame and hierarchy cannot be separated. They're the same damn thing.
Well, yeah. In order to have frame, you have to say, I place my view of the world over yours. You're literally saying, when dealing with women, I place my interpretation of how a relationship should go above you, the woman interpretation of how it should go. Oh, you've just created a hierarchy.
And yes, Ted, this comment, look at it, guys. I'm not going to read it.
Yeah, you can't put that one up there.
100% agree with you there. Okay, guys, let's check a few videos by the lawyers, in particular female divorce lawyers. This is the message that women are getting out there on social media. These lawyers have big clout. They have influence, and this is the kind of message that they send out to women. So why women choose divorce? Let's watch this one first. She's Asian, I think. I don't know where she's from. Okay.
Divorces are initiated by women. And as a divorce lawyer, I can tell you that women are not divorcing men because they're bored or ungrateful. They're divorcing because they're tired of doing everything. In marriages where both partners are college educated, that number actually jumps to 90%. But why? What is making these women walk away in such high numbers? Well, the answer is simple. Women are expected to work like they have no children and parent like they have no job. They're expected to be the emotional support system, the household manager, the one who remembers birthdays, doctor's appointments, and what shoe size the children wear. Meanwhile, many men still believe that just providing a paycheck is enough, but it's not. Women are not leaving because they hate marriage. They're leaving because they're exhausted. They're tired of doing all the invisible labor that no one acknowledges. They're tired of being expected to handle everything while their husband thinks he's helping when he loads the dishwasher once a week. Most women do not leave for another man. They leave for themselves. They leave because they refuse to live another decade feeling like a single mother while being married. 70% of
Okay.
All right, you go.
Okay. I had a thought while listening to this, and this sounded to me like a feedback loop. Women have been told that the work they do in raising children and whatnot is so superlatively difficult. Okay. That it is that they are uniquely put upon for having to raise children and take care of the house. Okay. And so this lawyer is actually smuggling two different lies at the same time.
Yep.
That was lie one. The second lie is that, and this, I love this smuggling because it's so artfully done these days, is that women have to work outside the home at all. That is a choice that she made. She is accountable to that choice. She wants to work outside the home. Oh, and why does she want to work outside the home? Because she might be able to bag Kevin from accounting. Okay. So it's a feedback loop of women have been told that housework is this horrible, evil thing that, and that doing such a thing should make them tired, that it is that not normal, but that there's this superlative amount of put uponness that they are owed, that they deserve to claim for doing normal house chores that they would have to do anyway if they were single.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, it's that feminist propaganda. Don't do anything for the benefit of the man. This is what they've been indoctrinated with college. They go to college, they pursue their degree, then they become this Miss Strong and independent. Then these flexible jobs that they do, it all boils in their brain. They gaslight themselves. They convince themselves that they're these perfect human beings. They don't need a man. They can perfectly survive by themselves.
What she's describing is not marriage. It's what we call modern marriage, which is actually an abomination. It's what Robert Louis Dabney rightly called this in the 19th century. What would devolve in a double-headed monster of so-called equals. And he also said that it's basically vagrant concubinage. Anyone can leave at will, and you just move on to the next. Look, she wants to. These women want to have all the benefits of being a man without the detriment, and all the benefits of being a woman without the work. Then expecting a man to both be Mr. Uber, a hyper masculine guy, but also do the duties of a woman. The shit does not work.
Yeah.
And then why do they leave? Oh, well, no. You want to have your cake, your feminist cake, and have all the benefits of being a mother, right? Except, no, you really don't want to be a mother. You have your kids to fit in with your stupid group of friends that all are popping out babies at the same time. You had your 10+ years in the career world. Now my friends are having kids. I have to fit in while you send them to daycare. Shut the hell up.
Yeah, she's not staying at home. She's not actually taking care of the kids. She offloads them to the school system, and
that's actually so. This lawyer left that out. That modern women, they will offload the kids for. Let's see, the typical school day is what, 8 to 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So that's 7 hours, 6 to 7 hours. Okay, so she's got 6 to 7 hours. Oh, but she's working outside the house, so she's not actually taking care of the kids all day, which means the kids go to school for 6 to 7 hours. Then they'll have after school activities, daycares, etc. Right? Okay. So is this woman really doing all of this work, or is she offloading this work onto the public system and then going off and chasing Chad from accounting or Kevin from accounting?
This is what they don't mention, because remember, their paycheck, they are being paid to divorce people. Of course, they're going to sell that kind of message to women that, oh, the moment he abuses you or whatever you don't like is abuse, and we will accuse him, and then you'll get the custody, you'll get everything you want.
And notice who's doing the divorcing here. Oh, we're leaving because of blah, 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 blah. No, you made a promise before God, probably,
Mhm.
and you're still leaving. You're not sticking it out. You think the grass is going to be greener on the other side because the world owes you a perfect, happy life where all your dreams and desires are met.
And Instagram
you don't give a crap about your man.
An
And
Instagram
really
ready
your
life,
children.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
she's owed an Instagram ready life that she can just take a picture and put it up on Instagram, and her life looks perfect.
Yeah.
So there was this is from the old manosphere days. How many A's are there in the phrase, I'm not happy? No, there's 3. I'm not happy.
Yeah.
Steve pulling out the old school stuff.
I am happy. Okay, so the A and the I am, not the apostrophe. Then okay. All right.
I am.
I'm not happy. And happy is spelled HAAAPP.
Yes, I figured it out. A. Yes, yes. I figured that it would be like triples A in the happy word. So let's watch another lawyer here. She does occasionally. I do share her posts on my Instagram stories because some of that advice applies to men too, what she's talking about. But let's watch this one. I think this one was about women or in general. Do most people get divorced over money?
Get divorced over money issues. Coming from a divorce lawyer for over 40 years, money is not what causes divorce. What causes divorce is fighting, dissension, and toxicity. Do most people get divorced over money issues? Coming from a divorce lawyer for over 40 years.
Oh, okay, that one was a short one. I thought it was a longer one. Sorry, guys. It's like it's been a while.
Fighting, funny, lack of submission, basically. Lack of hierarchy.
Yeah, lack of hierarchy. Yep.
Yeah. She's not wrong. In a lot of this, I put them under BS folder here, just so that we can glance at them. Okay, does cheating cancel alimony? Let's watch this.
If somebody cheats, do they still get alimony? The answer is yes. Whether they committed adultery or not, the legislature believes that during marriages deserves to get the alimony, regardless of adultery. If somebody cheats.
So if your wife cheats, like Nick, in your case, she cheated on you, right? Probably.
All the things point that way.
Yeah. You still owe her the alimony.
Mm-hmm. This changed back in the 1960s. Yeah, so this law started changing back in the 1960s, and it's really just a brazen feminist attempt to get more. Yeah, as Nick said, get more resources. It used to be that when you were cheating, the law actually said, well, you cheated, so clearly you wanted to step out, so and when you think about it logically, it makes sense. And so, well, okay, we will let you go, but you don't get paid to go. Now we say, she can cheat, and the guy still has to pay for her to walk.
Well, then why would she stay? Like, what incentives does she have to stay loyal to this man? Zero. This is what Doug and PA mentioned earlier. Like, women are not incentivized to behave in a better way.
She's rewarded by God for doing her duty. Wait a minute. That's so far in the future. Let's just do the NPV, net positive value, of a future benefit. 10,000 years in the future. Let's discount it by 1% a year. Oh, damn. The value of that today is 0. See, women are very financially astute.
Yeah. Well, watch this one, guys. The reason that did we watch this one? Just no.
The reason that people get
Okay.
divorced is that the conflict and the toxicity has risen and they can't live like that anymore. People think they're getting divorced because they've outgrown each other. The real reason that people get divorced is because they find that their spouse isn't living up to their ideal. And this is something from the day you get married that you should be talking about. What do you think that I should be doing as a good wife? What do you think that I should be doing as a good husband? And then you need to negotiate and talk about it so it's not festering. So people think they've outgrown each other.
Oh, wait a second.
Okay. Wait a second. You had something to say?
Go ahead. Go ahead. No. I was just.
Okay, so this is complete bullcrap, right? You have these vows, traditional marriage vows, before a whole bunch of people, usually at the marriage ceremony, right? And you take these oaths and vows, but they don't mean crap. Mean you say, the man needs to tell the woman what he expects from her. No. The church, they say take these vows when the church does the runaround. A man cannot demand a damn thing from a woman.
Mm-hmm.
He's toxic and misogynistic if he has standards.
Yeah.
If he wants the traditional godly duties expected of a wife, but she can demand his godly duties all day long, right?
Negotiate.
Well, okay.
His duties, except for maintaining his authority.
And the red pill will tell you this. Negotiation is feminist code for gives me what I want. And because if you don't, I will hold the threat of divorce and court financially ordered destruction over your head, right? And so what is a man going to do? He's going to say, well, happy wife, happy life. I have a little bit of bad news for you guys. Happy wife, happy life is an outright lie.
Yep.
My life tends to get better tends to be better if Elena isn't happy all the time. Because
even my life in the long term tends to be happy if I don't get immediately what I want.
There it is. Right. Sometimes in order to make Elena happy, I have to make Elena not happy.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, you just saw it right there. That's how women think. Or don't think, right? So women think, oh, well, I just need this thing and I'll be happy. Women don't think, oh, if I get this now, I might not get something in the future that I want, or maybe this will have a detrimental impact on my life. Elena has a tendency to be this. She enjoys learning new things, and she has this tendency to binge out on them. And I have to make constant reminders to her about how she can actually melt her credit cards and she uses a debit card, but you guys, like she can actually melt them by spending too much, and she actually has a limit on how much she can, and sometimes she has to stop because she runs out, and it's a bad day.
That's financial abuse.
Have you ever tried having a good faith negotiation with your wife?
Actually, let me rephrase that. Have I ever had a negotiation with my wife?
Yeah, let's negotiate, darling.
No. Now people say, "Oh, but has she come to you and asked for stuff?" Yeah, she has, and sometimes I say yes. Why? Well, we can afford it. She's like, "Oh, I'd like to do this and that," or, can we do this and the thing? Yeah, actually, we can. Not all of her ideas are bad ideas, guys. That's not what I'm saying.
But good faith means you come with your concerns in an honest manner. You understand the other person. She comes with her concerns, uses logic to understand your point, and you fit these together in good faith compromise.
No.
You'll find the best solution. This is the perfect world. Is it possible?
No. I'm sorry, guys. It's not possible. Women don't behave that way. There is no good faith negotiation with a woman. How many guys have got up on the red pill and talked about the woman that is constantly bringing up all of the things you did in the past to try to win current argument?
Yeah.
There is no good faith negotiation with women.
Yeah, negotiation is ultimatum, essentially, for the man. The moment you start negotiating, we all know where it ends.
No. Steve actually buried the lead and gave away the answer. And Steve knows what he did. Okay. The women don't think in good faith. The female brain does not operate in good faith. That is a male construct. I can have a good faith negotiation with another man. I cannot have a good faith negotiation with a woman. You can't do it.
Yeah.
To build upon this, yes, you got it.
Okay.
Okay, you need to compromise. Okay, the word compromise in the male mind means a meeting of minds, give and take, find common ground. That's what men think of with the word compromise. In a woman's mind, or in other women's minds, if they're observing, like the guardian ad litem told me in my first divorce, you need to compromise. What she actually meant was you need to accommodate your ex-wife. You need to give in and accommodate to whatever the fuck she wants. Women do not understand the concept of compromise because then they can't get everything they want. No, compromise means he listens and he does everything I want. So I get everything that I said I wanted.
Ted has been sending us very good comments here. Compromise, bend over. Yeah.
Pretty much. And it's interesting to bring this up for these videos. This lawyer does not even... Lawyers are supposed to be these excellent wordsmiths and understand language because that's their whole job. She has no idea what she's saying. Okay. She, like, the word toxicity has a meaning to her, but if you listen to how it's actually applied, there's a thing that's been making the round on Twitter, and it's an old saying. It's called the purpose of a system is its function. Okay. So if the purpose of these, if the function of a system, let's say, I don't know, the divorce courts, if the function of the system is to transfer financial assets from men to women, then that is the system's purpose. All these terms are just terms of art to justify the function of the system. Okay.
Well, because they benefit from the current system.
Right.
They are in right now.
Well, the purpose of the divorce system is its function, and its function is to transfer financial assets and power over children and men to women. That's it. So that's all this. So what this woman is trying to do is she's trying to use language to justify the function of the system. She's trying to say, oh, well, people get divorced because of toxicity. No, they get divorced so that they can take power.
Let me think about that. What's the outcome of the system? The outcome is to transfer wealth from men to women, to separate fathers from their children. That's the outcome. Is the outcome the purpose? And therefore, is the system doing what it's designed to do?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I would say that the system is currently doing exactly what it's designed to do, and it's doing so quite effectively.
Well, the lawyers are not going to say anything against the system because then they will be cutting off their own paycheck.
Well,
They,
yeah.
they're not going to sacrifice their financial stability for.
Hey, Nick, you're muted right now.
I was going to say it's the bar association problem. They might get disbarred if they run counter.
Well, so going back to Jordan Peterson, he was recently threatened with losing his psychology license. And the problem with state licensing of things is that it becomes a weapon that the state can wield over an entire class of people, like an economic class, in order to keep them in line with the state's desired outcomes. So lawyers have the same problem. The lawyers cannot speak out against this because the state, what they'll do is they'll say, well, you are speaking out against the law, and so therefore you have violated your duty to uphold the law.
Well, what if some laws are just outrageous?
No.
What if they are like bad?
No.
How dare you? You cannot say that.
It doesn't matter because the purpose of the licensing is to say this person is licensed by the state to uphold the law. They are legally bound to uphold the law. Okay.
So, licensing is contrary to the First Amendment and freedom of speech.
Essentially. It's tools of control. They weren't originally designed to be tools of control, but became chains by which to bind, by which we bind ourselves. Yeah.
Most of these systems do not start out with ill intent. When you build a system, the people building it they're usually fairly smart people, and they usually have a reasonable intent behind them. It is the people who come in later and work the system to their advantage that are the ones that use it like this. Psychology licensing and lawyer licensing didn't used to be used like this. It is now because the people who are in charge of it, it's a very quick and easy lever for them to pull to get the result that they want. So, Ted, pretty much.
Yep.
The fathers are threatened with losing their driver's license over some ridiculousness out of the child support system. Exactly.
It actually makes the
This
problem
is how
worse.
they mix it.
He can't
You
even
know?
pay his child support because he can't have a license. So you're just making the problem worse.
But Nick, that serves the state's purpose, which is to transfer power, not even necessarily financial resources. The purpose is to transfer power to the woman. And what this does is it gives her the power to hold your very ability to work at all hostage. Okay.
Yeah.
So
It's like how they mix things, like Ted mentioned, well, okay, the problem with the alimony and divorce. Okay, you are not allowed to drive. It's just like, it's insane.
Well, no, it makes total sense if you divorce it from the concept of money. Money can absolutely be power. So yes, they would absolutely love to transfer money to the woman, but power comes first. Okay. How many times have we listened to divorce stories where women will absolutely destroy their men such that they cannot get work? And do so to the woman's own financial detriment, but they do it in the name of power. She wants to have absolute power over the man's life, and she couldn't get that in the marriage, and so she gets it through the courts.
Yeah, Yeah, both my exes wanted me dead.
I understand.
Okay. Oh, am I exaggerating here? Okay, I'm a truck driver. I wanted to keep doing my job. I had my cold weather gear in a backpack after I moved out of the house. Can I get my emergency backpack because I carry it in my truck? Oh, hell no. No. Okay, I don't have to come over to the house to get it. You can drop it off where I'm living. You can drop it off with my lawyer. Oh, hell no, I'm not giving that to you. Oh, no, you want me to be stranded on the road. Okay, unlikely, but you want me to be stranded out there and freezing my ass off and suffering and maybe die.
Mhm.
Oh, you're going to find some excuse to charge me with something, a felony, and then prosecute me to get my ass thrown in jail or to deprive me of my job. No, you want me incarcerated or dead. And all the time I'm saying, hey, can we work something out here? Just accommodate me. Oh, can we reach a compromise here? I'll help you out money wise. Let's just find some solution here. Oh, hell no. No, 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 no. Money wasn't the issue. Well, she's fucking destitute now, but she would rather see me in jail or dead.
I understand, Steve.
You know, guys, there was a
Ditto.
video by the same lawyer. She was saying that if your husband dies, then it's good because you get everything. There was that video where I'm paraphrasing here. I'm trying to
I
find,
remember it. We don't need to watch it.
yeah,
Yes, I
Yeah.
remember it.
but
If,
it's kind of like
he dies
you
during
want
the
him,
divorce,
you kind of want him
you're
dead.
still married and you get everything.
Exactly. You kind of want him dead. So, like, okay, what do you expect? Women get this message from the authoritative figures. Then, like, of course, women are going to wish their husbands were dead, or yeah.
Yeah. No, guys, you have to accept that. And people are like, oh, well, why are so many men walking away? Duh.
Okay.
We don't want to be
Elena.
slaves. We don't want to not be able to raise our own kids. We don't want to see them turn out to be generous. We want to be like a normal freaking family, right? Where you have a loving
Mhm.
wife, not perfect, and you can raise your kids and see your children's children.
Mhm.
Men have lost that.
Yeah.
And so they
Elena,
walk.
do you remember that stream I sent you by Matthew Raphael Johnson talking about his red pill? It was one of the best explanations of the red pill. Remember what he said about women and that game that young women play? Screw, marry, kill.
Very popular in Britain, by the way.
Wow.
Very popular.
Okay, so young women get together. Oh, what kind of man is he? Screw?
Mhm.
Okay, we understand that. Yeah, okay,
Tingles.
fun.
Tingles.
Marry? Ooh, quality man.
Mhm.
Who's, I'll put on the act. Yeah, okay, he can wife me up. Kill. Oh, kill. Okay, I'm not talking literal here. That's the 80% of men who they don't even see. I could give a shit of whether he's living or dying. So, screw. 2 to 5%. Marry. Up to 20%. Kill. That's the lower 80%.
And by kill, we don't mean active. We mean
Yeah, like
they-
this
they-
woman-
No, I mean,
yeah,
she doesn't
destroying
care.
the divorce
She has
court,
no
Yeah.
feelings about whether he lives or dies. She's
Yeah.
not actively wanting to do that. No, I'm not saying that.
Well, here's the thing, guys. From the standpoint of a woman, when men leave and they walk away, that's actually kind of like kill.
Yeah.
Conceptually. Why? Because that man is no longer available for anything else. And so that's why you hear women complain, where are all the good men at? Well, good by your definition is maybe 10% of the population. And those
Again, like-
dudes are have already wifed up a girl and she's happy. He's not going to pick you and your contentious self, you know. Like,
And like good for what purposes? So that you can kill him later? I mean,
Or not care up at. No, it's not kill.
it's
I
not
mean, like
fair.
not like
It's-
metaphorically,
They
guys.
don't care whether he lives or dies. They have no mercy. They have no empathy,
Well-
no understanding about his life or whatever happens to him. When she's done, she's
She's
done.
But she can be done with a
Next
good
round.
man too. So why does she want a good man? So that she can kill him later?
No.
But
No,
look,
because she
what-
can get
what-
she can
what-
get stuff. No, she can get stuff from a good man from day one. And then the moment that, because what usually happens is, look, guys, Nick's kind of alluded to this. What do guys want out of a relationship? Okay. They want a loving wife, they want to raise their family, and they want to be left alone to do those things. Okay.
Mhm.
The woman, what does she want out of the relationship? Well, she wants stuff. How many times have you heard women say, well, he just wasn't, he just wasn't good enough? Women will enter a relationship on a prospective basis. Okay. He isn't what I want today, but he has the potential to be what I want in the future. And so when he fails to live up to that, then she now has the right to leave because he didn't meet her expectations. Okay. So the guy is as Nick said, he just wants a stable life, loving wife, and to be left alone to raise his kids. The woman wants more, and she always wants more than what she had.
Well, this
And
is
so-
why darling, this is why I'm saying, like,
No,
why
there comes
what
a point.
for?
There comes a point where that man can no longer provide more, and
Yeah.
that is the point where she becomes unhappy with him.
Well, and this is
more-
when she chooses to destroy him. So she takes a
Right.
good man. How many good men have been destroyed in the divorce court? And
Millions.
women say,
Oh,
we
God.
all want this good man. What for? So that you dump him the moment he
No.
longer-
They don't think like that. No, that's you're assuming that they walk into relationships thinking that they're going to divorce this guy at some specified point in the future. No,
No, I don't
women
think
do
so.
not think that far ahead. Sorry.
No,
It
no.
certainly
Okay,
behaves
women-
like that, and with the information
No,
surrounding
they
them that tells them, yeah, you can leave him the moment he no longer serves you. Yeah, well, darling, it's easy to
Okay.
assume that all women are going to leave their husbands unless they
Yes,
prove
okay.
otherwise.
You know what? You're right, Elena. You're right, Plutarch. Now let me explain. Women want more. What does she want more of? Experiences and material goods.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Fun and money.
Yeah.
So if he's a wealthy man, she's got the money and the lifestyle, but she's not having the experiences and the fun. She has the experiences and the fun, but he's not making the money. Well, then she needs to find someone else. So when she leaves, okay, she's going to take the material, as much money, but she's on a journey to find fun, experiences. He wants to experience more because he is limiting her, or he's depriving her of financial resources. So the dominant motivation in pretty much all women is they're in search of experiences and fun. Well, experiences and money. So when you tell your woman, no, we're not doing that, guess what? You're giving her experiences in emotions. And that creates the drama within, which doesn't cause her to seek the drama on the outside. Because if you're too compliant and you're not feeding her emotional variability needs within the relationship, she'll create the drama to go elsewhere.
And guys, there are some women who they just want more. And you can even say no, and then they'll go, fine, I'm gone. To those women, you just say, sayonara. You don't let the door hit your fat ass on the way out. Okay. Like there comes a point where you just have to cut them off. Say, nope. And take your red pills by the handful in that case and recognize that you did not do your due diligence on this woman beforehand, before getting married, and learn your lessons, right? It's going to suck. Learn your lessons. Look, men cannot escape accountability. When I was going through my divorce, I gave her a buyout offer that was very generous. That was me willing to say, yep, I screwed up. It's going to cost me some extra to get out of this. I paid my dues. Men cannot avoid accountability for our mistakes. Okay. So guys, if you're listening and you're in one of these relationships, yes, we're a bunch of Christians. No, we don't like divorce. However, as Nick said at the beginning of this show, the marriage that is practiced is not Christian marriage. So I kind of look at it and go, yeah, it's not good to get divorced in a Christian sense. But if you're not practicing a Christian marriage, is getting divorced, is that such an evil thing? And my answer is no, not really.
Yeah.
Because you're not practicing a Christian marriage anyway. It's a legal union. Well, okay.
It's interesting how they play with words there. It's Christian on her part. She did everything right, and then it's his fault. He didn't do it. They're blaming the man for all of the things that.
Have you noticed that this always works one way with whatever topic we're discussing? It's always the language is to the benefit of the woman's side of the argument.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It could be anything about, divorce. It could be anything about marriage. It could be anything about finances or resources. It could be anything about tingles and fun. It's all to the benefit of the woman. That's just the way it is. And as a guy, this is why we say, to you guys out there who don't want to mess around with women, you just swarm off. We say, we understand, we salute, and we'll work with you. Yeah. We don't have this, oh, well, those are the unclean men. We can't work with them because they don't agree. No, we
Mm-hmm.
So no, that's
okay. Historically, this is how it worked. How did Christendom, Western civilization, start? It started in Europe. There were a bunch of heathens and whatnot. Christianity moved in. Missionaries from Rome. Oh, they weren't just missionaries. They were monks. And they formed monasteries. No women there. A bunch of men living together, studying things, doing things, building. And yes, they had an outreach. But they weren't pursuing the women. Part of the reason they were successful in Christianizing Europe is because they weren't out pursuing the women. They were just doing their job.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole MGTOW thing, hey, you know what? Maybe it's the modern equivalent of the European monasteries from AD 700, 800, 900. Man is a monk in a monastery going his own way? Yes.
Yep.
He's serving God. He's not pursuing women.
They
Okay.
actually tend to have
Do
more
we have a
frames.
parallel today?
Yeah, they have the standards for women. They don't want to settle for less than like the bare minimum out there, and they have more frame than the guys who are doing money muscles game, honestly. And I'm not saying that the money muscles game is bad, but
No, I don't know if it's more.
this is
I don't
what
know that it's no. I don't
women
know that it's
want.
more frame. I don't think it's more frame. I think they came to a different conclusion. Don't try and make conflate conclusion with frame is not about conclusions. Frame is a way of maintaining your own thought process to arrive at the optimal conclusion for yourself. Okay. Like I got remarried after my first divorce, as you well know. Nick did not. Okay. Both of us have frame. Both of us came to different conclusions with our lives. Nick has 7 kids. I don't. Right. And so, yeah, Nick's circumstances and his own frame caused him to come to a different conclusion. Okay. Frame is not on the basis of the conclusions you reach. It is the thing that allows you to reach the optimal conclusion for your circumstance. Okay.
Oh, damn, Plutarch. You're going into that abstract thinking again.
I know.
And how the hell do you expect women to understand that? They understand things based on emotions and experience.
Well, they don't have frame. Most of them do not have frame.
Yes. And all I'm really saying is, look, the guys who have frame will understand what I'm saying. The guys who don't have frame will look at that and go, "What's wrong with you?" To which I have to say, "Look, I can't help you."
Did you just say, sorry, darling, did you just say that women don't have frame?
Most women don't have frame. Less than men. They're not designed. They don't act that way. They are not designed that way as a man is.
I would give you a little bit of pushback there, because what I've been noticing based on the women that I've been analyzing on social media, I think they tend to have more like, okay, let's define frame here, because they certainly have standards. Okay, if frame is standards that you're not letting go of, then women have more standards than men do. So
they have more frame. I see the mistake she's making.
Okay,
okay. Those are standards. Those are standards primarily that they derived from other people, that other people told them. Okay. They're external to the woman. Okay. She saw it on social media. Yeah, exactly. She saw it on social media. She said, "I want that. I like that. That is my standard. This is how things go viral, like trad wife. Oh, I see that and I like that. I'm going to make that my standard." Okay. That's not frame. Remember how I talked about frame as frame allows the man to arrive at the optimal outcome for him. It is inside facing out. Even with what you're talking about, that's still women looking at the world around them and going, well, here is what I have defined as my optimal life based on these series of Instagram pictures.
Well, okay,
and they'll
but
still betray what they'll have a list, but what do? They still swipe right on Chad, right?
Exactly.
Who doesn't have any of those standards.
Okay,
because
exactly.
That man gives them the tingles.
Exactly.
But watch PUA. Pickup artists, they watch some guys, they have frame, they have big cars, they have boats and horse, right? And we did an episode on that. And then like, oh, I want me some too. Like how do they arrive to the same kind of outcome, optimal life that we are talking about women here by watching other people doing it?
Can I use an analogy? Okay, Elena, you're going to have to think abstractly here.
Okay.
Do you want a dominant man or a domineering man?
A dominant?
Okay, so a dominant man is going to tell you what to do. A domineering man is going to tell you what to do. One is the proper execution of his role. The other is the abusive, micromanaging overreach. So, domineering is not good. That's like the narcissist, that's the over-controlling husband. But the dominant, that brings to mind, this guy who is on his purpose, he knows what he's doing, you can trust him to make the decision. So men, back to Genesis, men were given dominion. Not to be domineering, but to be dominant. Back to hierarchy. It's the exercise of this that matters. And so women are actually attracted to dominant men who don't micromanage every aspect of their lives. But since he's dominant, he can correct her, chastise her, guide her, say no. But you know what? Since he's not domineering, he's still allowing her free will and her agency. So you can have the same concept and you can apply it in two different ways. One is good, one is bad.
So the Bible, like what Steve's saying, in the Bible, Numbers 30, a woman is always under a man's frame. When she leaves the man's frame, what is she, Steve? She's under the father or the husband?
Rebellious?
Mm-hmm.
Town 304. Rebellious in Town 304.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so how women apply frame is a bad example then, versus how men apply frame. Is it what you were trying to say, Steve?
Well, women apply, when women say they have frame, they're trying to be domineering.
Ah, okay. Yes.
They're trying to be controlling of the man. Yes, men can do that too if they're domineering. They're trying to be controlling of the other rather than being in control or in charge or in the lead. The leader is not controlling. Oh, we can easily understand this. In the boss environment, you have a boss who you respect, who tells you what to do, then lets you just do it, checks up on you, corrects you if necessary. Or you can have that boss who you call the micromanager, who's going to tell you what to do, how to do it, and is going to scrutinize every little detail of how you're accomplishing the task. The micromanager. So criticize you for not doing it the right way. That is domineering. It's not being dominant.
The best boss I ever had, he told me what needed to be done. His job was to keep the big picture of the project in mind. I work on team projects, okay? Other people have to do their jobs for me to be able to do mine. And his job was to make sure that we were all doing our individual jobs. But do you know what my boss never did? He never told me how to do my job. And he said, I hired you because you're smart and you know what to do. Yes, yeah, he needs to tell me what to do. But he never told me how to do it.
Okay. Wait, hold on. Hold that thought, because I have a question. So women can have frame, they can apply it better than by that same logic, by not telling men what men are supposed to do, and by committing to men's frame. Essentially, I mean, like, could you say
Well,
that?
well, if the woman is the worker in this role, did I need to have the grasp of the bigger picture of the project that he did? No, I did not. I routinely worked with people who I honestly had no idea what they were doing. I don't want to get into too much detail, but somehow, even though I didn't fully understand everything about how that person was doing their job, we still made a product that worked. Okay. And that's what we're talking about here. For the woman, she does not need to understand everything about how what she's being asked to do fits in with the larger picture. Okay. She needs to trust that it's going to work. And I think the trust word is where this really kind of falls apart, because as a culture, we've gone around telling women that that they have to be in control, lest the man ever fail at any point or moment in time to be in control, so that she is always has that control herself, so that nothing goes wrong. Okay.
So, guys, I have a question for you. I'm going to rephrase it a little bit. Is it okay for women to have frame, or shouldn't they have frame? I mean, should they have? Because if frame is standards, right? Like,
No,
It's not merely standards.
no, it's not
merely-
just no.
Okay, it's not just
no.
standards. Okay.
Yeah, no, women in a proper relationship with a dominant man do not need frame.
Okay.
Now, if you're in a relationship with a simp, you might actually need it because the simp isn't providing it. Relationships need frame, but this does not mean that every party of the relationship needs frame. Somebody needs it. My boss needed it at work. He needed to have that whole picture in his head, but I did not. And we were still wildly successful in our project.
Something, okay, it's like a vacuum. A vacuum cannot exist because something is going to rush in to fill the vacuum. The man does not have frame. The woman has to provide it because a vacuum must be filled.
Nature abhors a vacuum.
She will rush in to provide the guidance, the control. But in general, women perceive being in control as being controlling. Nagging is a perfect example. Okay, I know what needs to get done, and I know when it needs to get done, and I know how it needs to get done, and when you need to do it. Like every morning, I need you to get up and empty the dishwasher and take out the trash every morning, because when I get up, I want a clean kitchen. And then if you didn't accomplish that, let's say the garbage was only half full, and the man says, I don't need to take this out. And then he gets home after work. You didn't take out the garbage this morning. He says, it's half full. I'll take it out now. No. You need to do it in the morning. Okay, that's micromanagement.
Right. It's telling me how to do my job as opposed to telling me what to do. Okay. A woman can say, oh, for example, can you pick this thing up on your way home from work? Or a woman can even say, I could really, we're out of this, can you get some more? Okay. You don't have to tell me which store to go to. You don't have to tell me, when to do it. I can do it on the way to work. I can do it on the way home from work. Right. Okay. If you're saying, if you come to me and say, look, we're out of something, I'm going to go, okay, I can fix that. I can do that. There's no frame violations here or anything like that. It's just, that's information, right? That's useful, normal information.
Yeah.
If you start telling me how to do that, oh, well, it's got to be this brand. You've got to get it from this store, and I need it by here. Now you've entered the domain of controlling. Okay.
Mhm.
Instead of being in control, you're controlling. That, I think, is what Steve is trying to get at.
So can women be
Exactly.
in? Okay. I'm going to ask a totally feminist question here. Can women be in control with the dominant masculine man?
With no, no, there can only be one.
No. Okay.
At the end of the day, there can like look. At the end of the day, what will happen is either she will divorce to try and get control back, or she'll submit. One of the two.
Yeah.
Usually, it ends in divorce.
I'm going to give a different answer. Yes. But with this big caveat, women have no, I'm going to just go to the extreme. Women have no authority in marriage except the authority that they're delegated by their husband. And then with that authority, they're in control of whatever she's been given control of. Oh, this sounds so bad. You know what? Every one of us live this out every day. In your job, guess what? You have no authority in your job. Zero. It all resides with your boss. He has the authority, he or she, and it's delegated to you. Now you have authority under that, and you can exercise that. But it didn't originate with you. Yet you are in control of everything that's been delegated to you. But you're not going to go micromanage or question what he or she's doing. Oh, you know what? I don't like the way you're treating me. I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like the way you're doing your job. No, that's out of your control. Women can easily work for a boss, especially a male boss, who delegates authority to them. Then they're in control of things that they've been delegated. But somehow they cannot do that in the husband-wife relationship.
Yeah. Thea says here, anything with two heads is a monster.
Yep. That's the Hydra, the double-headed monster that Robert Louis Dabney talked about in the mid-19th century.
But
he was right.
but for the right man, I often hear women say it on social media, but for the right man, I have to be this boss babe because I have to take care of myself, right? But if I meet the right man, then I'll get into my feminine, I'll be the submissive woman, but he must be the right man.
No, that's
roll.
just that's just signaling. They're just looking. They're hoping a man's dumb enough to believe it. That's all. I wouldn't.
Well, I hear it all the time. This is
you will, because they're just trolling for an easy catch. That's all. They're hoping for a dumb one.
Yeah, right. Yeah. A woman can be either one or the other. She can't be both.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, anyway, guys, we've been running for a while now. I have a couple more videos for you, but let's watch them maybe next time when we revisit this topic. At some point, I would love to have Shah from This Is Shah to talk about dowry. And maybe I will show some of those videos during that live stream too, because I have a lot of them. And yeah, it was an amazing conversation today. Thank you so much to you guys for answering to my questions. And thank you to the chats today, Ted and Thea, everyone who joined us from Donna's YouTube channel. Appreciate you guys being here. Staying with us. Remember to leave us a comment in the comment section down below. Tell us what you think about the topics. If you're watching the replay, we appreciate your feedback. Tell us what you think. And then also please subscribe to the Resurgence of Sanity YouTube channel. Here I'm going to share our schedule so that you guys can see. On Wednesdays, you can join the Resurgence of Sanity at 5:45 p.m. Pacific, 7:45 p.m. Central, and 8:45 p.m. Eastern on their YouTube channel. What are you doing this week, guys?
So Wednesday, I'm leading a discussion on another heady topic. So the title in my mind is Epistemology,
Mm,
Logic, and Why It Matters.
awesome.
Nick, do you like philosophy?
Yeah. I'm a philosophy theology nerd. Big surprise. Used to be a pastor. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, go watch their live streams. They will make you think. They will make you think and analyze. I usually take notes, but I'm joining after my Pilates class, so I'm running late for the Wednesday's live stream. And then join us for other activities here. We do these deep discussions with the Resurgence of Sanity guys every Saturday at 9:15 a.m. Pacific. If you'd like to debate us or stop it. Sorry, my dog is making noise here. If you'd like to debate us, you can reach out and we would love to have you on. Okay, you can send me an email or DM me on Instagram, and join us for regular workouts from Mondays to Fridays and Sundays at 9:15 a.m. Pacific on my channel. And then request some songs for me to work on for the Sunday live stream at 11:15 a.m. Pacific. I also have another live stream that I occasionally do on Thursdays in the afternoon. Then you can join us for the cross-training fitness program on Udemy. The links are in the description box, guys. And then on Patreon, I have more workouts for you. And please subscribe to my Substack, because sometimes I write articles. I try to summarize what we are talking about here, so you can read the summary of our discussions there as well if you miss the live stream. Okay, and that's pretty much it, guys. Do you have any final thoughts? No.
Nope.
No, we are good. Okay. Yeah, please like, share, and subscribe. I keep forgetting to say that. And we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.
Elena's Barre, Elena's Barre, the best place on the internet, the very best by far.